what's more interesting is the Durant stuff because right after Shams is like, yeah, Kevin Durant's not getting traded for a return anywhere near Desmond Bain, and I think it makes sense. There's a lot of people who don't, but I'll let you say your piece on Durant before we talk about more Durant trades, I guess.
Oh. Yeah, I saw that he had a couple preferred trade destinations. I believe it was San Antonio, Miami, and Houston. And then I saw the Suns aren't going to trade him to any of those. That they didn't want to look at any of those places. So I don't really know what's going on. I think Katie will be traded. That's for sure. And I've seen things that say the Suns hope that Beal will play to the level of his contract once that happens. I don't know if that's going to happen, but um, I I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the trade package is because if it's not going to be what Bane is, then it's probably going to be like maybe 2 first round picks, maybe even just one, and then a couple good young players. Um, I think I think the Spurs could end up just trading that 14th pick. That wouldn't be bad. Like, but don't give up the second pick in the draft for Kevin Durant. But if you get that 14th pick, then I would do it.
I think the interesting one was Minnesota, um, because there were financial reasons for them to want to make that deal because it would eventually later down the line free up things for them. They could sign Durant to less than a super max, and it would make more sense for them to do it that way. But then Durant just said he doesn't want to go to Minnesota. But I that to me was the one that made the most sense to me at least. What do you think about Minnesota for him?
I mean, some of the mock trades I've seen for Minnesota, I don't know if I would want them to do it. Um, just mainly giving up Randall because I don't know. I think if there's a scenario where you can keep Randall, I would try to do that. But like if you give up Nas Reed and Nikhil Alexander Walker, I think that's fine because those two guys are most likely going to leave anyways in free agency. So if you can find a way to, I think Minnesota can do it. And I think Minnesota, if you end up only giving up Nikhil Alexander Walker, um, well, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I would like it if you give up Nikhil Alexander Walker, Nas Reed, and one of either Randall or Jaden McDaniels, but keep one or the other. I don't. I think if you can just stay with at least one of those guys, that's a decent little trade. And I think Minnesota could do it, and I think they would do it just because of how much Ant um, loves playing with KD. I think just to make Ant happy and look, KD's still KD. Like let's not forget that. Let's not forget who he is.
I I think the weird stuff with it is for them they can't sign and trade Alexander Walker or Nas Reed to Phoenix because Phoenix is over the first apron and they can't receive a player in a sign and trade. So that makes it a little bit tougher. And I think like Randall's not going to opt into his player option just to get traded to Phoenix. So for those reasons, like I really feel like Gobert is the guy that would get traded. I don't know why Phoenix would have too much interest in Gobert. Like they do need a center technically, but um the team's just you're just getting another old star around what would be Booker. That's why I really like the Orlando trade for them. That I did before that was like getting Jalen Green sent to Orlando and getting draft capital from Orlando, but obviously that's not going to happen now because 116 has been traded and they've traded for Desmond Bain, so that's just not going to happen for them. Um, so I think if Houston is interested, then you can work something around Jabari Smith Jr. It's a little bit harder for Houston to match. I think they could do Jabari, Dylan Brooks, Jock Londale, Aaron Holiday, and I think that matches technically. But uh, that I don't know what I want to do from Houston's perspective because from Houston, if they trade a Phoenix or if they trade for Kevin Durant, you kind of want to have those Phoenix picks because Phoenix isn't going to be good, and I think that's what Phoenix would be interested in making a deal for uh, Durant to Houston would be interesting for. So, like you said, with San Antonio, if they can only give up 14, I like it, but I kind of don't like moving Vassell just because he is a 24-year-old wing who you have cost certainty on, who at least looks like he can play with other good players. So I just don't like it for San Antonio. I think they need to be waiting to swim in the Giannis waters. Um, that's kind of all I really feel about him. Miami is somewhat interesting, I guess, because nobody's talking about Rozier and Duncan Robinson like being the salary that you need. I think Wiggins is realistically thrown into the deal because Wiggins is a good player, but Miami doesn't technically have to give up Wiggins, so like they don't have to start with Andrew Wiggins in the deal because Rozier's terrible and probably
I was about to
I
say, is
mean
anyone going to trade for Terry Rozier at this point?
yeah, I agree, but Miami seems to be the most interested. I I don't know. I don't think they'll give up Khalil Ware. And at this point, like it's really interesting for me seeing how many people are like way too high on Durant's trade value. Um, because people are like, why are you leaving Khalil Ware out of a Kevin Durant trade? Which, how I see it, like, what does getting Kevin Durant on the Miami Heat do for them? Like, does it propel them to being the 6th seed in the East next year? That like,
Um, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, yeah, it'd be tough to give up Ware because he's been so good for them, and he did. Did he was getting center minutes, right? Like he started at center, and or was Bam the primary center for them, or was
they
Bam the
started
forward?
together.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, that'd be tough to give up your center, especially with like the versatility gives Bam to play more, like on defense without having to guard that big man. Now you can switch him for 1 through 4, kind of, or 2 through 4. Um, and KD doesn't really have the defense, so that would hurt. I mean, I think he's a better scorer than Andrew Wiggins at this point. I mean, he's still a better scorer than Andrew Wiggins. I think he's going to be a better scorer than Bam. So, I mean, that gives you your second best option besides Tyler Hero. I feel like Tyler Hero should still get that one that like deserves that one spot. And yeah, I wouldn't like it to give up Khalil Ware just because of how good he's looked and like the longevity he's going to give you and like the defense, especially like KD wherever he goes, they're going to have to find some way to hide him a little bit. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what the best fit for him would be, and I don't know what the Suns are going to do with them. It's going to be it's so interesting to see what's going to happen, and I'm sure we'll wake up on a random Tuesday morning with a crazy notification about where Katie's going. But I think, yeah, I don't like the Heat giving up Khalil Ware. I agree with that. Um,
I
but I mean,
I
it would
think
be
what
fun to watch like Tyler Hero, Katie, and Bam. Like that's not a bad victory. But I do think I think you're right. That does propel him to like the king of the play-ins. Because I do think I would say the Hawks are still better than them, even if they get KD. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
healthy Hawks.
healthy Hawks, Jalen Johnson Hawks,
Oh
Jalen
yeah.
Johnson Hawks.
Um, I think what they need to do is like if you're in the position of Phoenix, like stop like falling falling into Kevin Durant's request at this point. Like if he doesn't want to go to Minnesota, like tough shit, dude. Like this is what gives us the best opportunity. Even though I don't know if that's necessarily what's gonna happen, because what's gonna happen is if they don't have other suitors, Miami's gonna be like, well, I don't think Houston's gonna actually want Durant, and I don't think San Antonio's gonna want Durant. So Miami's just gonna keep lowballing until you're trading Durant for a first round pick in Duncan Robinson, and it's just like you might as well just keep Durant on the team at that point. Um, I I think they need to consider any option that's possible. I don't think Detroit has interest, but call Detroit, see what they have to say about this. Um, Portland, I don't know what the hell they're doing over there in Portland, but that Jeremy Grant deal doesn't seem nice. And you guys want Durant, like just give it a shot. I don't know. Um,
Jeremy Grant, Avery Simons, and DeAndre Ayton for Durant. Who says no?
who
No,
does?
that'd be a dream scenario for Portland, I think. Yeah, who says no?
I I mean, would either team say no?
I mean, if you look at it, Portland, you get rid of three, like two bad contracts in Aiden and
Grant.
Grant, and then Anfrey Simons. I don't know how much he has left on the deal, but I mean, it wouldn't be bad to get rid of him and then kind of let Klingon, Scoot Henderson play a little bit, and then whoever you end up getting from the draft. Um, yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be a fun little deal. I don't think that happens, but that'd be pretty interesting.
I
And
mean,
then if you're the Suns, you get. I mean, the Suns probably would take that. Honestly, I think they would take that deal. Um,
let's say this. I think the real person that says no is Adam Silver because that trade's technically illegal. But like, I don't know. If you throw Grayson Allen in the deal, I think it gets closer to being legal. And the Suns, no, the Suns can't aggregate because they're over the second apron. Damn it. But um, like Simons isn't getting traded to Orlando now. So
yeah. So yeah, the Trailblazers might just end up not doing anything and have the same roster from last year, pretty much. That's always
I
a possibility with them.
it would just be like the most directionless.
Also,
Uh,
how about the Magic? Sorry, I just remember this. I saw this stat. The Magic. This is their first time acquiring a player since Markel Fultz. Since they traded for Markel
oh
Fultz. So
wow,
that's crazy. They've been super inactive, um, on the trade deadline. On the
because
trade, so like
Goga was like waivers. I think.
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about
So
right.
crazy stuff for the Magic. But yeah, that kind of I think that sets up for a crazy offseason. Like, um, I think KD gets traded. I think the Giannis thing is becoming more and more unlikely. Um, Especially because now the Bucks can kind of like be like, oh, you guys are only offering this. Look what the Magic gave up for Bane. So
hmm I think the real guys left are the Celtics guys. Like I feel like Holiday and Porzingis are probably going to get traded, and like teams are going to call
I've seen
about
some.
White.
Yeah, I was about to say I've seen some Derek White things too.
Yeah, they're going to call about Derek White and Jalen Brown. I saw today that Celtics will listen to offers for Brown, but they're not going to do it unless they get blown away. I'm like, he's making 35% of the salary cap. I don't think you're going to get blown away with any trade offer from another team. Um, I I I think that what's going to happen is Holiday and Porzingis are going to get dealt, and then Shams was saying that this is going to be like a legendary offseason, but like outside of those guys, I just don't see who else is um getting traded. I think some of the Giannis stuff because he's been one of the real reporters pushing the Giannis stuff, and Giannis kind of called it out. He's like, "I miss Woj, man." I think Shams has been pushing the Giannis stuff just because he doesn't want his.
I mean, also that could be Giannis. That could just be Giannis saving face. Like, you know how like he's not gonna be like, yeah, I'm trying to get out of here like so bad. At least not publicly, unless we get like a, a James Harden Clippers type scenario. I think we was talking about Steve Ballmer in that clip when he was like, or you remember you know the clip I'm referencing where he's like in the practice gym. He's like, I will never play for that man again. Or no, it was the 76ers. It was like John
Daryl
Morey.
Morey.
He was like, I will never play for that man again. So I don't think we'll ever have like a situation like that with Giannis. I don't think he'll say it publicly, but I mean, yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of Giannis things getting pushed just because he wants out. But I don't think the Bucks can get him out. Like I think it's a hard situation for Milwaukee. But yeah,
I mean, they need OKC to press the panic button if they lose the finals. Otherwise, I don't think they're gonna get the return they're gonna want. Um, and then I think Shams is just pushing it because he said it's gonna be a legendary offseason and like how it's pacing. Well, I guess technically how it's pacing, it's on pace because we had an all-star get traded before the draft. Before trades are even legal, there's an all-star getting traded. But I feel like he just really wants like one of those things to fall in place just because he doesn't want the take to age poorly. But yeah, I think a lot of action might happen in the draft. I've seen like OKC is a team that could even move up, and we thought they were a team that could move out.
Yeah, I think a lot of picks get traded in the draft. Like a lot of like this year's first and maybe next year's first or second just to move up. Is going to happen, and probably a lot of late round draft pick move ups, kind of like when we saw the Wizards trade up for Keyshawn George last year.
Yeah, I think an underrated part of it too is with all the teams that might be facing salary implications, like teams are going to trade into the second round, which we'll talk about it more in our mock draft, but like second round is like historically a little bit weaker because a lot of guys just go back to college now. Um, so teams are going to be trading into the second round to get players that they can sign to below league minimum. Um, to help with their apron salaries, and it's just like Boston might legitimately end up with 4 second round picks just to fill out the back of their roster for cheap next year because they don't care because Tatum's not playing. I think just weird things might happen, and I'm excited to see it at the very least. And we'll be doing a mock draft on next Monday, so we'll see. We've talked briefly about a couple of prospects in this draft, so this is something I'll be looking forward to for sure.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where you have one prospect in particular. I don't know if it's one that you have any like. I don't think it's one that you think I'm talking.
Okay, we'll talk about it after. All right. Do you got anything else that you just really want to talk about?
Not not really. I think this finals has been really great. A lot better than a lot of people were expecting. We got in some great games, and you should definitely tune in tonight because I think the Pacers are going to put on a show.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great game tonight. Um, I think just about every game. There was the game two like kind of blowout that wasn't. I mean, it wasn't like a huge blowout, I don't think, but it was a convincing win for OKC, and the other three games have been awesome. They've gone down to the clutch. They've been decided by less than 10 points. Halliburton hits a game winner in game one. It's
Game
just,
winning mid range jumper too. Little throwback.
yeah, Mike Breen is just absolutely in shock. He doesn't even say a bang. um,
And then he gave him a pity bang like 2 minutes into the first quarter. Like what the hell? We don't want that.
it, and it was
um,
Halliburton's only made shot for like most of the game. Awesome.
Hopefully, there's some better announcing tonight.
Anyway, we're gonna wrap this one up here. Next week will be mock draft, and then we probably will do some type of thing on Wednesday for the actual draft. We'll figure that out, and it'll be expressed in the mock draft on Monday. So, yeah, that'll do it for this one, and we'll see you guys then.